We should be live. It's a bit late, about 5 minutes late. So lucky for that, brothers and few sisters. We're about 5 minutes late on the live broadcast. But as always, first we want to give all the praises and the glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you. And shalom to the hopeful elect brothers and sisters
But guess what? The Heavenly
of
Father
the
has
house
it all
of
recorded.
Israel. Well, praises and glory. So today is, what's today's date? The 26th of January, 2025. 26th of Jan. The first month is nearly out, brothers and you few sisters. We're nearly out. Come end of the first month. Can you believe it? More praises and glory. So, as you can see from today's title, all right? Another omen, eagle on the great seal of the United States. Eagle on the great seal of the United States. So we're going to go into that, what we're looking at there, all right? Now, without getting your cheat sheets out, brothers and sisters, without using your cheat sheet, all right, I'm going to play about a minute of his speech, that's all. But what we're focusing on is the eagle on the United States seal in the background. All right, that's the main point of focus. We're listening to about a minute of his speech, all right, that he made, but we're focusing on what's behind him. All right.
Finally, as we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring back strength and peace and stability abroad. I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago. It was only at 2%, and most nations didn't pay until I came along. I insisted that they pay, and they did, because the United States was really paying the difference at that time, and it was unfair to the United States. But many, many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. Before even taking office, my team negotiated a ceasefire agreement in the Middle East, which wouldn't have happened without us, as I think most of the people in the room know. Earlier this week, the hostages began to return to their families. They are returning, and it's a beautiful sight, and they'll be coming in more and more. They started coming back on Sunday. Our efforts to secure a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine are now hopefully underway. It's so important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field. Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. They're laying dead all over the flat fields. It's a flat field farmland, and there's millions of Russians and millions of Ukrainians, and nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. It's time to end it. And here in America, we have big events coming up. Next year, we have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. I'm so honored to be president during that. That's been a big event. They've been talking about it for 10 years. We also have the World Cup. And I understand, Gianni.
So anyway, so he was talking a bit about NATO, the war, the 250th year celebration of the United States coming in next year to America. But what stood out for me, first and foremost, was the eagle. I don't know if I can center it for you. All right. The eagle in the Great Seal in the background. That's what stood out to me. The eagle in the Great Seal in the background. Now, a lot of people probably didn't even notice this, all right? But it's something that I noticed, and I'm going to speak on it, and I'm going to tell you what it is I've noticed. So as you can see, the eagle on the back in the Great Seal of the United States of America, as you can see, the head of the eagle is turned to the left. As you can see on the Great Seal, that's sitting on the eagle on the Great Seal that's sitting on the president's podium, his head is turned to the right. all right, which we're going to show you, because that's what it should be. The head should be turned to the right. Now, the reason why the head should be turned to the right, because in the right, I have to say hand, but in the right foot of the eagle on the right are the olive branches, right, which indicate peace. So the eagle's head on the Great Seal of the United States of America is always turned to the right, facing the olive branches, which indicate peace. We come in peace. In the eagle's left hand, he has arrows. He's holding 13, I believe it's 13 arrows he's holding. All right. That indicates war. All right. That's why the eagle's head is not pointed to the right, to the left. It should be pointed to the right. It should be turned to the right, not to the left. But on the Great Seal in the background, as I said, this is another omen. The eagle on the Great Seal in the background, all right. The eagle on the Great Seal in the background, his head is pointing to the left. And in his left feet, he holds the 13 arrows, which means war. We are coming in war. Normally, the eagle's head should be pointed to the right, as you can see on the Great Seal here, where he holds in his arms, in his feet, olive branches, which means peace. All right. So the first thing that kind of came to mind to me, right, when he was out there making that speech, was Psalms 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So let's show you a blown up picture of the Great Seal so you can see it more clearly, all right? So this is the Great Seal of the United States of America. The eagle's head should always be turning to the right, because in the right feet of the eagle are the olive branches, right? Or the olive leaves, whatever you want to call them. 13 olive leaves, right? Which indicates peace. In his right foot, he has the 13 arrows, which indicates war. But the Great Seal that was on the podium where Donald Trump was speaking from in Washington yesterday, behind him, the Great Seal that you saw in the background, the eagle's head was pointed to the left, meaning war. War. That's why I said he made a speech at the Davos yesterday. And the first thing that came to my mind was the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. That's what stood out for me. Psalms 55, verse 21. All right. Now, where it says, so that's what we call the shield of the bald eagle, right? With its wings outstretched or displayed, right? Now, from the eagle's perspective, it holds a bundle of 13 arrows, right, in its left talon, in its left feet, right, and an olive branch in its right talon, as you can see, all right. Now, although not specified by law, the olive branch is usually depicted with 13 leaves, as you can see. Those are 13 leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are 13 leaves in his right talon, his right foot claw. And in his left one, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, are 13 arrows, which represent 13 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 stars, which represent the 13 states, the 13 colonies of the United States before the whole country was unified, right? The 13 colonies that was first under the British rule, right? That's what that signifies. Now, it says here, E pluribus, which I believe means out of many. Is it out of many? Out of many is one, right? E pluribus unum. Yeah, E pluribus unum. Out of many is one, right? That's what that means. That's Latin, all right? Because as you know, America is made up of people from all over the world, all right? It's the melting pot that the Bible speaks of, right? The many waters, that it speaks of in Revelation 17. Okay. Now, the reoccurring number 13, right, especially on the left-hand side, it does represent the 13 colonies referred to as a group of British colonies on the Atlantic coast of North America, which broke away from the British Crown in the American Revolutionary War in 1775 and joined to form the United States of America. All right, but that's what they signify. Now, the arrows and the olive branch together symbolize that the United States has a strong desire for peace, but will always be ready for war. That's why it has the arrows in its left talon. All right. Now, even the words, I didn't realize this, even the words E pluribus unum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, are 13 letters. This is carefully crafted, the United States still was. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 letters. And you know 13 is symbolic for the Illuminati, all the head families of the Illuminati. What the left-hand side use, because they take that from, the Lord and the 12 disciples, that was 13. They take everything from the right, and on the left-hand side, they create their own version of it for wickedness, right? So even the word E pluribus unum, out of many is one, is 13 letters, right? In the United States seal. Now, the eagle has its head turned towards the olive branch on the right side to symbolize a preference for peace. That's why it's turned on the right-hand side. That's why its head's turned to the right, to symbolize a preference for peace. Because, when you're giving out an olive branch, you're indicating peace. All right? Now, the primary official explanation for the symbolism of the Great Seal was given by the guy that created it, so forth and so on. All right. Now, when we go back to the seal, this is why it stood out for me. The words in his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. When we go back to when Donald Trump made his speech, right? When he made his speech at the Davos yesterday, the eagle's head was turned to the left, which means war. So that's an omen for me. Even the Great Seal on the podium that he's speaking from, the eagle's head is actually turned to the right, indicating peace. But the Great Seal, the massive one that's behind him, that everyone can see as clear as day, his head is turned to the left. So that's definitely an omen that Babylon is getting ready for war, as we know it is. Now, the scripture, like I said, that came to mind first of all was Psalms. So Psalms, I put it up here, was Psalm. I said it out a few times, but let's just quickly bring it up. Psalms 55. This is the scripture that first came to me. So that's an omen. That's an absolute omen, what we are seeing there. An absolute omen. Probably many people didn't see that, didn't realize that. Okay, it doesn't stand out. You'd have to know. The only reason I was able to identify it because the eagle on the front was looking the other way, basically. Psalms, and this is why I said Psalms 55:21 stood out to me. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Right? That's Babylon the Great. And then the next scripture that kind of stood out for me, thinking about this, was Revelation. Okay, this is the dragon speaking, mate. Revelation chapter 13. And it says here, and I stood upon, Revelation chapter 13, verse 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, all right, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, all right, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So the beast is symbolically represents the European Union, all right, and which is part of the reincarnation of the Roman Empire, all right. As we also know, this is a reincarnation of the fourth beast in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, right? And upon his horns, 10 crowns, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy, all right? And remember, those 13 colonies, British colonies, they all come from Europe that came to America, all right? And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, all right, representing the Greek Empire, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, symbolically represents the Russians, all right? As you know, the Russians are known for symbolically, or his great seal is known for as the bear, right? The Russian bear. And his mouth as the mouth of the lion, symbolically represents the British Empire, right? The lion is their symbolism sign, like part of their great seal, right? The lion, the great lion, the lion is. And the dragon gave him his power. Now the dragon symbolically represents the Roman Empire. America and Europe is the reincarnation of the Roman Empire. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, the Roman Empire, right? When it went down, the western part of the Roman Empire, all right? Because it did split into two, the east and the west. And the east was known as the Byzantine Empire. That was predominantly ruled by, Israelites, Jake, so-called black people. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So his deadly wound was healed. So the beast's deadly wound was healed, what we refer to as the Renaissance period. Because remember, America, Babylon is a place that came out of America, or not America, sorry, came out of England. All right. That's why it's referred to in the Bible as the daughter of Babylon, because the United Kingdom, which represented the 13 colonies, which represents those 13 arrows and the 13 olive leaves in the Great Seal, were the original colonizers of America, and they were referred to as the 13 colonies. And his deadly wound was healed. So the reincarnation of the Roman Empire came back during the Renaissance period, right? When Columbus, the Cortezes, and all of those came to the Americas, right? Under Pope Alexander VI of Rome and under Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand of Queen Isabella of Spain and King Ferdinand of Portugal. When they came together, they united together under what they refer today as Catholicism, Christianity. So the deadly wound was healed during the Renaissance period. So around the 15th century AD is when the Renaissance period started to come into power under these Edomites who took back control of Europe and then went to the Americas and conquered the Americas. And all the world wondered after the beast, and all the world wondered after the beast, all right? Sorry. And they worshiped the dragon, all right, which gave power unto the beast. The dragon, first and foremost, symbolizes the Roman Empire. The reincarnation of that Roman Empire came during the Renaissance period when they took control of Europe and then finally took control of America, South America, and Canada, which we know as the West, what they refer to as, the furthest part of the West or the fourth part of the world. All right, the Bible refers to it as the fourth part of the world. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, to these EU nations, NATO, and they worship the beast, saying, the beast is who? NATO and the EU. But the head of NATO, remember, is America. Babylon the Great is the dragon. But they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? Because what was Esau's blessing? Esau's blessing was the sword. That's why it says, who is like unto the beast and who is able to make war with him? That's Esau's blessing. That was the sword. All right. Now I want to jump down. I'm going to jump down to, I was just leading you into bringing you to the point. All right. Jump down to the verse 11 I want. Yeah, verse 11. So it says it, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had what? 2 horns like a lamb. This another beast coming out of the earth, having 2 horns like a lamb, is talking about the United States of America. And he spake as a dragon. Why? Because of its military might. And that's what we see now. We see America right now, having Trump back in power, truly speaking as a dragon to the world, to all of its counterparts. Because even when he began his speech, when he said, what did he say? It was around about, see if I can quickly show you. Even when he began his speech, this devil, right, with the eagle's head turned to the left.
Taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left. Probability remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and it's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply, you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build.
So he said he's going to rip up literally everything, every partnership, every deal that America had with these different countries, and in terms of business, NATO. He's told the NATO members that they're going to have to increase their donation to NATO from 2% to 5%. So that's more than doubled. He's ripping up all of the deals that America had to do with climate change with these countries, electric cars and any type of deal that America had that was put in, he's going to rip it up. So he's speaking like a dragon at the end of the day. And this is why when we talk about the rift that's going to happen between the European Union and America is biblical. It's prophetic. So when I saw the eagle's head here turn to the left, right, to the feet, the claws that's holding the 13 arrows, which indicates war. So he's speaking like a dragon right now, because he don't give a fuck what anyone's got to say right now. All right. And this is how the war is going to be drawn in. Like I said, this is how they're going to do, because they're going to be divided. The European Union and America are going to be totally divided on air, because in Europe, they're trying to do everything green, everything electric, everything's climate change, everything's about immigration for Europe, you know, to bring them in. Everything's about, the control of the population. Everything's about clamping down on free speech. So he's going the complete opposite way. So he's 100% speaking like a dragon, as we just read here, Revelations 13 and 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb. The two horns symbolically represents the two parties in America, the Republicans and the Democrats, left and the right, whatever you want to call him. And he, the leader of that two horns, that's like a lamb, spake as a dragon. And that's exactly what we're witnessing here. But we ultimately know what Babylon's end is going to be, right? Because I just really wanted to point out what I saw on the Great Seal of the United States, that he had behind him was looking the opposite way to the direction that the Great Seal of the United States, the eagle, his head is normally turned to, the opposite way. And I saw that as another omen, showing you that Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, is getting ready for war. And this is why he's speaking like a dragon. Now, I want to go to, what verse is it I want to go to? Is it verse 60? Yeah. So this will make you understand when we tell you that Jeremiah 50 and Jeremiah 51 is talking about the United States of America, when it's talking about Babylon, right? When Isaiah 13 is talking about the daughter of Babylon, it's talking about the United States of America. When Revelation 18, Revelation 17 is talking about Babylon, it's talking about the United States of America. And what Jeremiah says here, which he didn't even understand when he put the prophetic books together regarding Babylon the Great, which he didn't understand, that this was talking about a future Babylon, not the Babylon we know, ancient Babylon we know today as Iraq, because Iraq is what we know as ancient Babylon. That's where ancient Babylon resided, right? Before it became known as Iraq. Now, what Jeremiah writes here confirms 100% that the prophetic prophecies in Jeremiah 50, 51, Isaiah 13, 24, Isaiah 14, Revelation 7, 18 is talking about a future place that's going to be known as Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, which just goes back to the word Babel, which means confusion, right? And this proves it right here. These 4 verses prove it. And we're going to read it out to you. It says, Jeremiah 51 verse 60, it says, so Jeremiah wrote in a book, all right, all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. Now, Jeremiah is thinking this is talking about ancient Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar when he wrote these words in chapters 50 and 51. He didn't know he was talking about a future place. But we know it is when we go into the scriptures and we see, because we're in the times now, and everything is laid out plain to us. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, when thou comest to Babylon, talking about ancient Babylon, Jeremiah saying to Sariah, which we know today as Iraq, and shall see and shall read all these words, then shall thou say, O Lord Yahweh, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it. So he thought it was talking about ancient Babylon. So when he sent Sariah with the book to read the prophecies regarding Babylon, Jeremiah, Sariah, the Israelites thought it was talking about Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. It was not, as you're going to see clearly here, what the Lord says. It says, then shalt thou say, O Lord Yahweh, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be what? Desolate forever. So we know ancient Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon, is not desolate. We know men and beasts are there in the millions. It is known today as Iraq, right? That's ancient Babylon. So this is what the prophecy said, that it was going to be, the Lord told it was going to be desolate forever. This is how we know it's talking about a future place, and that future place is talking about America, the daughter of Babylon. It says, and it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. All right. And it's very symbolic that he bind a stone to this book and threw it into the Euphrates, right? And thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her. And they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So this place was going to sink, never to be inhabited again. And the stone that he wrapped around, it would have been the chapters that Jeremiah gave him to bring to read, 50 and 51, to the Israelites in ancient Babylon, that after you would have read this book, right, the 2 chapters, he would have wrapped it with a stone and threw it in, just like what it says here. After reading the book, thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And that's very symbolic that he cast a stone, because that's how it's spoken of in Revelations, I believe it's Revelations 18. The same way it's described how Babylon is going to go down. Let's quickly find it. I believe it's Revelations 18. Same way it's described. And I think it refers to it as a great millstone. So I can quickly find it. Not much in there, there's no more. Yeah. So this is, I'm trying to go straight to the point, all right? We don't need to spend too long on this. Revelation chapter 18, verse 20, it says, rejoice over her. Over who? It's talking about Babylon the Great, all right? Let's just give you some context, right? This is talking about Babylon as well, the Babylon the Great. When it says here, after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great, the United States of America, is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, because it's never going to be inhabited again. It's going to become desolate, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So now when we jump down to verse, let me start here, verse 17. Revelation chapter 18, verse 17 says, for in 1 hour, so great riches has come to naught. This is how we know it's going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles. For in 1 hour is so great riches come to naught. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off, witnessing its destruction, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? What place in the world is unto like Babylon the Great? I mean, Trump is being sell it out there. He said, America, we're going to make America the golden. He said something about make America the golden city. Let's see if I can quickly find it. I'm sure that's what he said. Hold on. Just share this for you. Hold on. I'm sure he says it here. He talks about it being this golden city, man. I'm sure he says something like that. Let me just see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misheard him.
150th anniversary. So that's going to be a stroke of luck, or whatever you might call it, that I'm going to be president during the World Cup and the Olympics and the 250th anniversary. So that's going to be three big events. And we've accomplished more in less than 4 days. We have really been working 4 days than other administrations have accomplished in 4 years. And we're just getting started. It's really an amazing thing to see, and the spirit and the light over our country has been incredible. Under the last administration, our nation has suffered greatly, but we're going to bring it back and make it greater, bigger, stronger, better than ever before. I want to thank everybody for being with you. I would have been there myself, except the inauguration was 2 days ago. I thought it might be a little bit quick to make it the first stop. But we'll get there one day. We hope to get there. But I do appreciate, I heard the audience is fantastic, and many of my friends.
So he said he's going to make it bigger, stronger, and greater again. All right, America. All right. And this is why America is referred to, that great city, that golden city, that great city. All right. And this is why they're going to be crying when it's destroyed. Revelations 18:18 again, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? All right. And he keeps on going on about make America great again, make America great again, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Yeah, it's going to be the greatest destruction the world has ever seen. That's what it's going to be remembered for. It's going to be made great again, but it's going to be made great by its destruction. That's going to first begin with nuclear missiles, and then the Lord himself and the angels are going to complete the destruction of America. Or maybe the Lord does it by himself. We'll see. And they cast dust on their heads, lamenting, and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, make America great again. That's the great city, Babylon the Great, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reasons of her costliness. What did he say? He said, bring all your businesses and your manufacturing back to America. He said, we're going to make you we're going to make, everyone's going to make money. We're going to make everyone rich again. But if you do your merchandise outside of America, he said, we're going to charge you tariffs, right? So he's saying exactly what the scriptures are saying, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. So America are the biggest importers of goods in the world. America makes up 4% of the world's population, but consumes 25% of the world's products. That's Babylon the Great. So we know all the businesses are not going to be going back there. 1 and 2 may go back there or start up something there as part of their business, but they know the making the money of America is by making these products abroad where it's cheaper and then bringing them and selling them to America. This is why it says, wherein were made rich all that had ships. These are the cargo ships that are bringing in all of the products to sell to America. In the sea by reason of her costliness. For what? For in 1 hour is she made desolate. This is how we know it's not talking about ancient Babylon. Because even back then, it would take a considerable amount of time to make ancient Babylon, Nineveh, what we know today as Iraq, totally desolate. It would probably take years for an army to completely decimate the whole of Iraq back during the times of Jeremiah. So we're talking 2,500 years ago. It would probably take an army probably years to completely make that place desolate, and that's even if they could. Whereas the prophecy says, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. What's going to do that? The intercontinental ballistic missiles, and then the Lord himself in the chariots and the angels are going to complete the destruction of America. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets. This is what we're going to do. The apostles and the prophets that are here today, we're going to rejoice when she is destroyed, because we know it's prophetic, and that's the only way the kingdom of heaven can be established on earth. For Yahweh has avenged you on her. America, Babylon the Great. And a mighty angel took up a stone, this is it, like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, just like our Jeremiah. What did we say, right? What did Jeremiah say to, what did the Sariah do? What did Jeremiah tell Sariah to do? Same thing, right? But they thought it was talking about ancient Babylon. It says, Jeremiah 51:64, and thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, America, not ancient Babylon, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far the words of Jeremiah. When you go back a verse, Jeremiah said this, and it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading this book, when Sariah has made an end of reading this book to the Israelites that were in captivity in ancient Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar, that thou shalt bind a stone. That's the symbolic symbolism. This is how we know it's talking about America. To it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. So what is John the Revelator saying here? Revelations 18:21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, symbolic for its destruction, and cast it into the sea, just like how Sariah was told to take a stone and bind it to. He was told to take up a stone, right? After finished reading the book to the Israelites in captivity, Jeremiah said, tell him he should take up a stone and bind the stone to the book, which would have been the chapters that Sariah was reading, 50 and 51, and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. A mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Totally destroyed, destruction. And the voice of the harpers and the musicians and the pipers and the trumpeters shall be heard no more in all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. Well, we know it's not ancient Babylon because the ancient Babylon is functioning, and we know John the Revelator lived 600, 700 years after ancient Babylon, after Nebuchadnezzar, after the captivity of the Israelites of the southern kingdom in Babylon. John the Revelator was writing about a prophetic prophecy 700 years later. He wrote this. So he's saying this Babylon, no more craftsmen, or whatsoever craft he be, shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. No more work, nothing's going to be going on. It's going to be totally desolate. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be what heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, from Wall Street to Hollywood. Thy merchants were the great men of the earth, the bankers, the banking, the stockbrokers, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500. These are the great, stock markets that everyone wants to list their companies on. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Everything that they was pushing. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints, which are the Israelites, the Native American Indian tribes, the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, and all that was slain upon the earth. That's America's end. So I say again, when I saw the eagle's head pointing to the left, that means war, because that's the claws, the legs, the feet, the Tony, whatever they call it, he's got the arrows in. So it's pointing opposite to where the Great Seal of America, eagle's head, normally points. And this is the one that you see. Sending a message out there, 100% sending a message out there. So I'm going to leave it there. Tawada for the brothers that put out the precepts on the comic board. I know I didn't get to any of them. Tawada for all those precepts. As always, I want to give all the praises and the glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, and shalom to the few sisters who have been edified by today's edification. And once again, Tawada to the brothers that put out those precepts. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises.